Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and I told you the 1,000 subscriber special is coming out sometime soon. I didn't know when. I don't think anybody did. I'm gonna be so dead ass. But I got one of my inspirations for doing this whole thing here. So I'm gonna let him say a little something since he's on my channel.
Hey guys, thanks for clicking. I appreciate Johan for inviting me. 1,000, man, it's a big journey. Congratulations, this is just one of the milestones, one of the steps on the marathon. So keep going. Super excited to be here working on this with you, and I appreciate all of you guys for clicking to hear the two of us interact and talking about this story, especially because Higuruma just came out in the anime, so I'm really thrilled to be talking about a Higuruma Naruto today with Johan. So super excited. Johan, do you want to get us started with kind of the story? Let's just get right into it. Give the people what they want, you know?
I got you. I'll start us off. I'm going to begin this on a little bit of a backstory. In this timeline, Minato is actually a 50% Yamanaka, so he still goes by Minato Namikaze. However, he is also part Yamanaka, which makes Naruto 25%. Kushina is still, Kushina Uzumaki, and Naruto is going to be referred to as Naruto Yamanaka in this timeline. I just wanted to get all that, gibberish out of the way. Anyways, the story will begin on the night of the Nine-Tails attack when Minato and Kushina are both sadly killed by the Nine-Tails, and it is sealed within Naruto. Hiruzen ends up appearing. They have that little talk with each other where they're like, I leave him in your hands. I hope you'll do the right thing and stuff like that. And so, knowing that Naruto is actually part Yamanaka, the Yamanaka clan actually takes Naruto in at the beginning, right? However, after a few years, it is actually told to everybody by Danzo letting it slip that Naruto is in fact the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. And due to this, they kind of just don't want to deal with him, so they effectively disown him. They don't make him get rid of his name or anything, because if he does ever accomplish something, they want to be able to take credit for it. And vice versa, if he does something bad, they want to be able to have plausible deniability. And so that's just kind of the situation that Naruto is in. So they end up just pushing him onto Anko, who actually ends up kind of teaching him like he was her own son. And that's kind of where I want to leave the detailing to WEEB, because he's way better than me. I'm going to be so
I got you all. Let me hop in. All right. Guys, everyone knows, so Minato Yamanaka became the 4th Hokage. After the tragic loss of Kushina and his life, 3rd Hokages passed him off, and eventually Anko, who has now been revealed as Orochimaru's student in the past before his betrayal, is now being entrusted with Naruto. Of course, the village doesn't know this. Naruto is still a young boy, and he has to learn how to speak, which I don't think we actually are told who took care of him in the original, but in this case, Anko will be assigned the role of a special Jonin, trusted with additional authority to raise the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki by the 3rd Hokage himself, keeping all of this under wraps. Anko originally would protest, saying that she wanted to be out on active missions and that she was worth more than raising some dumb brat. But after seeing Naruto and Hiruzen pleading with her, she'd eventually would give in. As years would pass, Naruto, reaching around the age of 4, would notice the hateful stares of the villagers, specifically because of the leaked information from Danzo that Naruto was the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. We get a scene where Anko would walk into the office of the 3rd Hokage and ask, "Did you seriously give me the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tails to raise? Are you serious? Do you understand how much jeopardy that puts me in?" And he'd simply apologize to her. "As one of Orochimaru's students, I knew you'd have the capability. You were strong enough. This was something I could only entrust to you." And she'd have to accept it. But once again, as time moved on, Naruto had grown even closer to her, and had even mistakenly called her mom once. She had completely razzed him about that. "It's Anko. Anko, I am not your mother." The two of them would have a semi-loving, strained relationship, with Anko desperately looking for freedom being straddled with this kid, while Naruto is looking for familial love. As the years pass on, Naruto would eventually enter into the academy, beginning to meet other kids his own age. This is kind of where his rebellious phase starts, like we see in the original, where instead of hiding meekly and trying to get attention from others, he finally kind of comes out of his shell and becomes that prankster we all love. So Naruto would once again paint the Hokage's stone faces, laughing as he hopes to get Anko's attention, who had been more busy than ever recently. There seemed to be missions piling up everywhere, to the point where even she was sent away now that Naruto was older. "Hey, Naruto!" Iruka would scream from below at the rocks, yelling him to get down from there. Naruto would turn down, looking at the sensei from the academy, sticking his tongue out and saying, "You'll have to catch me, Iruka!" as he jumps off the side of the stone statue, fleeing into town. Iruka, being a Chunin, would easily chase after him, catching the young boy. "Hey, Naruto, I understand that you're having pent-up energy and that your caretaker's out of town. Yeah, whatever. You're going to clean this up. What's the point? It's just there to mock me. It's just some ugly stone faces anyway. Who cares?" But Iruka would care. He'd tell him about the Hokage, the role it represented, and who he had been defacing. "These are the strongest people in our village. They protect us from the threats on the outside, and we trust them implicitly. You mocking them and doing this it's a mockery of all that we seek as shinobi." Naruto would laugh again. "It's not that big of a deal. Who cares? Besides, they never done me any favors." Iruka would sigh, once again forcing Naruto to begin scrubbing. As more time would pass, this routine between Iruka and Naruto would continue. Iruka telling Naruto off, Naruto misbehaving and pranking more villagers, and the sentiment of him being a troublemaker would spread. This all continued, even in his relationship with Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura, and the other kids such as Choji and Shikamaru in class, until one day. One day when Naruto would be told by Anko that she would be coming out home much later that night. Something had happened. The mist, the rain, covered the Leaf Village, and at school the next day, Sasuke was nowhere to be seen. "Hey, does anyone know what happened to Sasuke?" some kids in Ask would be wondering, but no one had an idea. Until the end of classes, when suddenly an Anbu Black Ops member would open the doors. "We're here to retrieve Naruto Uzumaki. His caretaker is currently under arrest." What? Anko, what did she do?" Naruto would stand up, asking accusatorily what they did to Anko, with the Black Ops member speaking softly that for now he should simply come with them. Iruka would turn to Naruto, looking with emotion and wondering what's going to happen to him, wondering if, just like himself, if Naruto would be left without any family at all. Naruto would nervously gulp, heading down the stairway and following the Black Ops member all the way to the Trial and Judgment House, the main home of the security and intelligence unit of the Leaf Village. Is she really here?" "Yes, we have her inside. We required your presence as an alibi, though." He'd laugh, his mask covering the sound. "Not like that'll matter much." As Naruto follows him into the courtroom, Anko would be tied in chains, seals placed around her, and her curse mark exposed. Naruto had asked her about it once, when she was helping him with a bath when he was very young, and he remembered seeing the mark on her. "Hey, what's that?" "Oh, this? It's a memento of my teacher." "Yeah? Was he a good guy?" Well, I thought so." As time seemed to lurch forward back to Naruto's mind, he'd feel outrage pooling in his mind. What are they doing to her? Naruto had to barely keep back his voice, seeing as the trial was ongoing between the elders of Konoha, the Hokage, and a man with a strange mask covering with black hair. This was the courtroom. "Now, all are in attendance," Hiruzen would say. He clearly seemed to have a look of distress on his face. "As we all know, recent events." He'd turned, looking to another side of the courtroom, where Naruto's eyes would finally meet that of Sasuke. A kid he had thought was kind of annoying, but now, Sasuke's eyes were filled with hopelessness. He looked like he was completely lost, like his entire world had come crashing down around him. Naruto knew the feeling pretty well right now. As they took a seat, the stand would begin. with Hiruzen presenting the evidence as judge, telling everyone in the room of the events that occurred last night. As of last night, one of our Anbu Black Ops elite members, Itachi Uchiha, has betrayed and left the Leaf Village in exile as a rogue ninja for the execution of the entire Uchiha clan. Danzo would sigh, "What a tragedy, Hiruzen. I can't believe that we're having to see these events unfold." He'd wipe a tear from his eye. Anko would practically roll hers. "Yeah, well, again, what's that gotta do with me?" Hiruzen would sigh. "All right."
So the reason Hiruzen would sigh is because Hiruzen is painfully aware that Anko is not actually the culprit. However, they needed some sort of scapegoat, and Danzo has set up this entire situation. And he explains to Anko that the reason that she is here is because of her connection to Orochimaru, and that they are under the assumption that Orochimaru actually is the reason that Itachi had killed their entire clan, his entire clan. And due to this fact, they're actually considering Anko, who has his curse mark and was his student, as the liaison between Itachi and Orochimaru. And after having Itachi kill the entire clan, he aimed to bring Itachi into the Akatsuki, and that's the whole reason behind this atrocity that supposedly occurred due to Anko and Itachi. And no matter what Anko were to say here, and we'll just pretend she says something, but she's found guilty at the end of the day. They completely shut down all of her arguments. Not even really Hiruzen, but Danzo, Ibiki for some reason, the elders, they were all kind of just destroying her arguments one by one. And her one alibi, who is Naruto, who was with her the previous night for a good portion of it, is just not believed because he is, in fact, the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki. And so she's actually found guilty on the case of being the cause of the Uchiha massacre. And Naruto, you can see that he's visibly in extreme duress after this declaration that Anko is guilty. And truthfully, Anko, she's aware of her current situation, that she will most likely be executed. And that's when she looks at Naruto. It's just like, you need to calm down, Naruto. And she's actually treating him as like her own, instead of like this friend or just some brat she has to take care of. For like the first time, she is actually treating Naruto like her own son, because she understands most likely this is going to be her last interaction with him. And after talking to him calmly and getting him to like begin to calm down, and that's when you hear the elders declare that Anko is sentenced to death. And you can tell that Naruto's beginning to tweak out. His voice starts raising, and he yells at them, "You all think you're innocent? Bullshit!" And so that's when his domain activates without like any sort of like choice to him. And it immediately ends up declaring one of the elders completely guilty. They die, and it removes all chakra from everybody else in the room other than him and Anko. There was like the whole mini trial, but there's just too many people to go over in a what if. I'm gonna be so honest. Anyways, after this occurrence, Anko understands that there's no backing up here. There's no backing out now. Naruto has killed one of the Konoha elders, and if she doesn't take him and get out of here, they're both most likely going to be executed. They're most likely going to transfer the Nine-Tails out of Naruto into another Jinchuriki. And so she picks up Naruto, and she bolts for it. She's gone. She's using Orochimaru's old like escape paths, honestly, because her goal is actually to make it to the Hidden Mist, which is known as the Lawless Village, due to the current situation of it being called the Blood Mist Village. And so during this period of time, she's going through a bunch of old Orochimaru hideouts that she knew about due to her time, being under him. And so eventually they come across this group of people. It's some.
On the run, Anko and Naruto now flee from the Anbu and the remnants of the Leaf Village who seek to take them from the asylum. With Anko being forced to become a rogue ninja just like her predecessor and teacher, Naruto merely has to ask, why? Why did this all happen? He wanted desperately to talk to Haruka sensei. He knew that he would have some answer, like before, that the Kage would look out for him, but when he was there, he did nothing. All he did was watch and let that trial take place. He barely stepped in for his mom, and she was going to die because of his inaction. For the crimes of Sasuke's brother? She wasn't there. She did nothing. These all were thoughts that took Naruto's mind as Anko escaped using the teleportation jutsu of like her fast speed and getting into abilities of Orochimaru's side, like Snape summoning and all that stuff. Anyway, she's pretty strong. She's a special Jonin. She's able to escape with 3 minutes of chakra clearance with Naruto's help from his new ability. First off, she'd be wondering what that was, but time for that can wait later. As they're on the run, finally making it to a hideout to escape the Anbu, they had made it about halfway between the land of fire and the land of water. And kind of like what Johan was saying with how this is her goal and why, we actually see this later in the original series with the sealing scroll that Mizuki was trying to steal and head to the Mist Village. The reason for that was because he could sell that scroll to make a killing because of the current lawlessness and situation that was so public in that part of the world. So her idea is that if she can escape into that area, it'll be much harder for the Leaf Village to follow them and be able to track them down without sending more manpower than they can actually afford. As they arrive, heading finally toward the land of water, they'd see smoke on the horizon. Naruto was still tired from all of the journey they had been on so far, barely having a chance to eat. The last time they had been a dessert. It was his favorite actually, an Anko dumpling, which Anko loved dango, so, pretty delicious. As the two traveled, they'd finally make it toward the smoke rising, thinking it was some sort of bonfire or travelers, but what they'd find were homes burning. Even as the rain came down from the land so covered in mist, the flames licked the homes of the houses, and the people inside screamed. Naruto would narrow his vision, seeing those in shinobi headbands, those of the Mist Village's markings. Anko, what's that? Anko would grab Naruto and pull to the side off the main road as the two would try and hide. But Naruto would ask her what's going on, wondering why shinobi would be attacking civilians. Isn't this in their territory? What's going on? Anko herself had no idea. Something had happened, but what, she didn't quite know. What Anko wasn't aware of is that the civil war had worsened within the village, with a new figure appearing, and that group causing this disruption. As the flames continued to burn and screams filled the night air, Naruto could barely hold back anymore, asking her why don't they do something? They're just watching as all these people die? Anko would try to reason with him. We're tired, exhausted, and we have been going for 3 days. Even if we tried to do something, not like you could do much, she'd laugh, then we'd be taken down like the rest of them. We don't know how many enemies there are. We need to get more information. As Naruto heard these facts, though, it would increase his battle spirit even more, like he wanted to defend them. As Naruto would jump out of the forest, he would catch the eye of one of the shinobi. Anko would sigh, damn it, kid, as the two would be forced to fight. Anko would appear taking advantage of Naruto as a target, cutting down the shinobi, but as he died, a seal on his arm would cause light to explode in the middle of the night. A blinding white blast of fire jutsu sent into the air like a sprawling sign of flame. More shinobi would begin to pool around from the village, about 10 of them now. Damn it. Anko was just trying to run. Could she knock Naruto out and get out of there? But as they approached, Naruto's abilities, again, his energy would begin to resurface. Tendrils of chakra, not the nine tails, would begin to wrap around him in an area, forming a barrier. Naturally, this barrier jutsu, as soon as the shinobi enter into its range, they would lose all access to their chakra. What's happening? One of them would fall down, looking at his hands, seeing as his active jutsu of his power enhancement would be deactivated through Naruto's confinement. As Naruto would walk forward, Anko would watch as behind him, the form of a Reaper, a Shinigami, would finally take place. She had thought she'd seen something before, back in the courtroom, but now it was clear to her. It was a ghostly white figure with a horrified skull-like face and a long nose. Its eyes were red and black, and as it stared down the men, they could only try and leave in fear. But as they turned, the room would change. The existence of the domain itself had changed. After Naruto had fought against the system in Konoha, the exact trial room that Anko had been put to death in would become his domain. The trial expanding around them as they were trapped in an infinite series of rooms, and each of them leading back to the main center where Naruto and Anko stood. Naruto would have his hand clasped around Anko, as she would be alone spared from the subjugation technique of his domain expansion. With this, Naruto would accuse them of being guilty, and as he's about to put them down, Anko would say that she'll step in, telling him that they can work on this together. He doesn't have to do this. Naruto would finally call forth the evidence, again beginning to present the trial, showcasing the village burning, the attack on the villagers, and the fact that nothing has been done in harm to the shinobi, claiming them as villains, as the defendant guilty. Suddenly, a form of shining light would burn into Naruto's hands, the sword of execution appearing, ripping out of the Reaper's soul, similar to a scythe. As it formed the shape of the star-crossed sword, Naruto would lunge forward, cutting down his enemies. As they had done so, the domain would dissipate, with Naruto taking down all 10 former Kirigakure shinobi, much to Anko's amazement. At this point, a figure would begin to walk forward from the other side, entering the village. In amazement, it was a boy almost the same age as Naruto, and he'd have bright blue hair and glasses covering his eyes. What happened? There were so many of them. I thought we'd have to... My lady, he'd call back. They're gone. What? What's happened, Chojuro?
Then Chojuro actually turns around and looks at, his, teacher, Mei, and it's just like, they killed all the shinobi. The village was saved. There's no more death going on. And Mei's just like, they killed all 10 of those relatively powerful shinobi? And Chojuro just exclaims, yeah, they killed them all. I don't understand how they did it. I'd like to learn more, but... And that's when you actually notice that Naruto passes out. Like, you just see him collapse. And that's because after 3 days of running, without any rest, really, not much food, not a crazy amount of water, and then using all of his chakra to do that tuck out any kid, let's be honest. How old is Naruto here? Like 6, 7? He's around 7 years old, so that's obviously going to tuck out like any kid, let's be honest. It doesn't matter. Itachi at 7 would be tired by this point.
Let's not get crazy now.
He was getting packed up, and he was tired by the Hyuga guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, continuing on. After Naruto passes out, Anko actually catches him, and she begins actually talking with Mei. And Anko explains that what just happened was Naruto's technique. She actually doesn't know much about it, and she actually doesn't believe Naruto does either, but it seems to be some sort of Kekkei Genkai he developed in a moment of extreme duress. Mei asks about the situation, or like what supposedly caused Naruto to awaken it, but Anko is just like, that's our business, and keeps it to themselves, right? And so Mei's just like, that's fine. If you want, I got a place where you guys can actually rest, and you guys will be safe there for now. And Anko thinks about saying no, but then she kind of realizes that in her current, state, if Mei really wanted to catch Anko or kill her or anything, there's not much Anko could do. She's positively exhausted after the several days run they basically had.
Yeah.
Eventually, after all this, we cut back to like the village, and we notice some people in masks appearing, looking around, and they don't really see anything. They see some dead shinobi, but that's about it. And so they end up just going back, and that would be the Leafs Anbu, who were actually tracking them, but lost them after this point. And so Naruto and Anko end up, just being conked out for like the next couple of days after the last few days of a lot going on. And eventually they do wake up, and Mei, Chojiro, and this guy with like a Byakugan and bluish hair is there too, and they're kind of wondering who he is, because at least the other two they kind of recognize, even though Naruto passed out basically right after meeting them, but Anko does recognize them a little more. And so Naruto is just like, who's that weird looking guy? And that's when Mei actually kind of chuckles, and Aoi looks at him kind of angered, and Mei's just like, that's Aoi. Yeah, okay. And so Aoi is just like, yeah, my bad for having an eye. Then Naruto's just like, I just said you looked weird. I didn't say it wasn't cool, because that looks sick. Your eyes kind of look like the eyes that my friend Hinata had. Because he had, still done that protection stunt for Hinata in this timeline. Happened a couple months before, the entire current situation. And he was just like, I know who you're talking about, because she is the princess of the Hyuga. And so, anyways, Mei actually decides to talk to Naruto and Anko more about the current situation. And she mentions that currently her situation is the fact that she's trying to take over the Mist Village. She wants to do a reform. She wants there to be some sort of laws. She wants it to be a safe place for people to be. And Anko just honestly doesn't really care. I'm gonna be so honest. Anko's kind of uninterested. But Naruto is actually really interested in this, because after the whole situation in the Leaf Village, he wants somewhere to be, and it kind of falls in line with his personal sense of justice, Anko had instilled that, laws into him, basically. But the morality was instilled by Ruka. And so Naruto is kind of in that middle ground that he is in canon similarly. He's just a little more on the law side. That he actually tells Mei that he really wants to help. And Anko honestly begins to protest and starts protesting profusely. But she realizes at this point they don't really have anywhere else to go, and getting Naruto to accept no as an answer probably is not going to happen. And so she honestly, solemnly kind of admits defeat, and it's just like, okay, we'll stay. And Naruto's like, yeah, let's go! And that's when they decide the current situation is they need to train Naruto. Mei and Anko both, because they understand how strong Naruto could possibly be in the future.
I got you. So kind of reiterating over everything that's happened, Naruto is idealized with this idea of a perfect world where a village is run by someone who's honest and upfront and able to follow a personal code of justice. When he hears of the plight of the Bloody Mist Village and how Yakura, the current Mizukage, is enacting against his own people, Naruto would feel the same sort of burning sensation that he felt in that trial room. And as he spoke with Mei and her group, who's trying to insurrect the current Kage and take over, he would begin to feel something develop again. This is where Naruto would gain the gavel. So part of Higuruma's power is for deadly sentencing is he has an innate cursed weapon which can exchange sizes when it's into a large mallet or hook, unless it's turned into the executioner's sword. So that's the exchange. So he finally gained that ability after that fight, and now he just has this weapon that appears in his hand. So it's sort of like a specialized ninja tool, but for the sake of this, just understand what that is. As Naruto tries to convince Anko of this idea, she would be more hesitant, again, not only because of her teachings and what she developed in the Leaf Village, but also because of why they're offering them refuge here. So she would be more paranoid about Mei and the current insurrectionist of the Mist Village of trying to use Naruto because of his status as Jinchuriki, and she doesn't know how much they know about them. So she's trying to be careful while Naruto is trying to be an idealist. Naruto is all on board. Let's kick out the Mizukage, bring in the revolution, baby. As things are starting off, again, we move on to the next village, moving closer to the Land of Water. With Chojuro telling Naruto while the others are kind of operating in a leadership sense, Chojuro would be speaking with Naruto about the awesome myths and legends of their land. Naruto wondering about why it was so difficult to take down the Mizukage. Well, that's obvious. He's got the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, you know. The what? Well, there used to be 7, but I heard a lot of them got taken down by some guy from, well, what was his name? I don't know. I heard it was scary though. Almost like half of them were taken out. But my dream, he'd tell Naruto, is to collect all of the 7 ninja swordsmen's swords and return them back to their rightful place. He'd nod. That's nice, Naruto would say. Are they special or are they just big hunks of metal? At this point, he'd kind of learn about the abilities of each of the swords and also learn more about what the Mist Village was originally like before Yagura's takeover after he became Mizukage. So with that context being cleared, they'd make it once again further into the battle line where Mei's main forces and other shinobi have devolved to her side. At this point, Zabuza and Haku would have already left the village, with Zabuza leaving for the Land of Snow and collecting Haku as a young child. So that's roughly where we're at in this timeline. Eventually, as they continue working on the fight, we get closer to the final war between the forces for Mei and the forces of Yagura. Of course, Yagura's side is mostly contained of like the old regime, so people who were in high positions of power, people who had a better standing, while those of like younger percent or those with young children who didn't want them to be forced into the Bloody Mist system would join on Mei's side for the Terumi cause. Anyway, eventually we get this really cool interaction. As Naruto arrives closer to the village, he'd feel something burning in his stomach. What's going on? The Nine Tails chakra would be reacting to the Three Tails as Yagura was getting closer and closer to arrival. Eventually, an explosion of water and wind would land on the group as Mei used her lava breathing style to melt with acid breathing to melt the water around them, creating a bubble that would burn away the attack. Yagura would step out with his forces, waving a giant sword over his back as more of his 3 remaining swordsmen would attack. Again, with other Jonin of the Mist, we'd have this sort of like parallel between the fight between Nagato, Pain, and Nagato, Yahiko, and Konan versus the village, Hidden Rain Village, where we have like the Salamander Danzo versus the 3 Rain Kids. We have that similar kind of stancing here for visuals on purpose between Anko, Mei, and Aoi versus Yagura. It would be this big 3-on-1 fight, but of course the main difference here is who would win. As Mei continues to push forward, pushing Yagura to the brink, he'd begin trying to access Tailed Beast state. His eyes cloudy though. His combat was slower than she remembered. She'd interacted with Yagura before he had become Kage, and he had never been this weak. Although he was pushing them hard due to his natural strength and the assistance of other Jonin, Naruto would sit back and watch from a distance as himself and the other weaker members of the militia would observe the fight between them. Naruto would be itching to get into battle, but Anko had ordered him to stay out of this one, specifically because of what he had said earlier. Anyway, eventually, the final battle between Mei and Yagura would take place, and out of nowhere, seemingly, the man would begin clutching his chest. What is... No, you bastard! You're really As he was about to say the Uchiha ghost's name, a blast of acid would cover him. As the dissipation of Tailed Beast chakra would alert Naruto, feeling again that burning pain in his stomach, an emotion of rage filling him, rage that wasn't his own. And with that, Yagura would have been defeated much earlier than in the original, with Mei's help and Mei helping Anko and Naruto emboldening her. Eventually, she would take out the Mizukage, with Mei's regime now taking over the village and exiling or killing the remaining members who enforced that they would have to fight the rest of these people off and force the Bloody Mist to stay the way it was. Now, revolution's kind of happened, things are settling down. What happens next?
So after the revolution and everything has occurred, Mei has made it a point to properly get Naruto real training. Because as I mentioned in my part before, I saw step back over to Weeb, that Naruto is extremely powerful, and they both are, Anko and Mei are both keenly aware of that. And they want to train him so he has the power to defend himself, really. Because at the end of the day, as much as Mei wants Naruto to help with her regime, that's just not who she is. Like, her whole purpose was to avoid a bloody missing, like not forcing people into ninjahood and stuff like that. And so she would never force Naruto to join, but she still wants Naruto to be strong enough to defend himself. And so Anko and Mei both made it a top priority to train Naruto, as well as Chojiro. And Naruto and Chojiro in this timeline actually become insanely good friends here. Because during this training that they get every single day, their bond begins to grow, you know? Getting their ass beat together, you know, creates that kind of bond.
Okay.
All right. Anyways, and on that same idea, Anko actually begins to, you know, let her guard down a little bit around Mei. You know, they start becoming like slight friends. But at the end of the day, Anko is a lot more cautious than Naruto is. And the one fact that Anko, even though she is extremely cautious, had to actually tell Mei due to the fact she's currently the Mizukage, and the one thing keeping them away from the Leaf Village, like guarding them basically, that Naruto is actually the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. And Mei was actually not aware of this. And Anko was glad to hear that she didn't approach because of Naruto's Jinchuriki status. And so Mei and Anko discuss the fact that Naruto's a Jinchuriki and stuff like that. And they think about it, and Mei's just like, maybe there's some books that can explain how Yagura managed to gain control of the Three Tails. Speaking of, you remember that battle I had with Yagura? I find it strange that he didn't use like the Three Tails powers to the best of his abilities or anything, or really at all. Like, it's shocking because there's no reason I should have been able to defeat him that easily. I mean, the last time I battled him, I lost, truth be told. I barely escaped. So this is a very jarring difference. And they actually end up deciding to, you know, try and figure things out, you know, make up some theories of why, some investigation, stuff like that. And a conclusion they think could have possibly happened is an Uchiha, due to the fact that it's supposedly a fact that during the night of the Nine-Tails attack in the Leaf Village, there was a Sharingan seen in the Nine-Tails' eyes, which means an Uchiha would have had to been controlling it. Now, Anko is thinking this logically. She's just like, okay, Itachi would have been like 4 or 5 at the time, so I don't think it would be Itachi. He's the last Uchiha aside Sasuke. Well, I don't think it would be Sasuke. Sasuke is basically just as young. And so that leaves the option that there's an Uchiha that is unaccounted for. Who could it be? But Anko actually does decide to speculate that perhaps Fugaku had survived because losing to his son would be diabolical, and not killing him would make sense because obviously it is his son, so you wouldn't want to kill him. So perhaps Fugaku actually let Itachi live, as well as Sasuke, and escaped, and maybe put Yagura under some sort of genjutsu or something. And in this same vein of thought, so Fugaku was the one who, quote-unquote, framed Anko, managed to put the Mizukage in a genjutsu that he couldn't escape, and left him, like, significantly weakened. And that's currently Anko's theory. And Mei, following this train of logic, is just like, that's a very good theory. We will run with that for the time being. And so they actually opt to believe that it's Fugaku Uchiha who's behind everything currently, and why Yagura was defeated so easily. Naruto and Chojiro were just standing there staring, and they just ask, what? what are you guys talking about? They didn't understand a single
Where's
thing
the
they
ramen?
said.
Where's the Uncle Dumplings?
Where's the dongo?
Where's the dongo?
Exactly. Where is it? And that's when Anko and Mei are just like, just go get something to eat. There should be something in the kitchen.
Time's gonna pass. So one significant change here with Mei becoming Mizukage earlier and reforming the Mist Village is that the Mist Village now has more time to actually rebuild by several years, because like we mentioned, Naruto was at the time much younger, and by the time they'd finished rebuilding, which would be around when Naruto was like 13, so his academy age days, which is the same year that the Konoha Crush plan and everything with the Land of Waves, pretty much the kickstart of the original Naruto would happen. So something that would occur here is because Mei is in power, she would actually have been invited to the joint tuning exams with that they were planning in the Leaf Village. But in the original, Aoi had suggested her to not attend out of concern for Sunagakure, the Sand Village, and Konoha interacting because of their rival status. So I think we would have to decide if they'd actually participate here or not. Like, how does that go? Because if they do participate in the tuning exams, that'd be kind of crazy. I'll leave that on the table for now, though. Moving back again, so time has passed. Naruto is now 13. He's been training. They've done research on Jinchuriki. It's finally time for Chojuro and Naruto to be placed on their own task force as basically well-trusted individuals who are close to the Mizukage, as well as Anko. So Anko would essentially be their team leader with the two boys. They would be sent to begin retrieving the 7 ninja swordsman's swords, starting with the Bloody Executioner's Blade of Zabuza, the Demon of the Mist, sending the trio north to try and track them down, following him to the Land of Snow, where Naruto as well as Chojuro would discover the remains of Haku's village, which had been massacred many years before. From here, they begin investigating nearby, eventually picking up clues of hints of a rogue shinobi who did missions for money. Unlike the other ninja who had gone to pillaging and banditry, Zabuza had apparently maintained his honor, at least to the fact that he worked for pay, which Naruto sort of understood. He began to think differently of him, wondering if maybe he wasn't as bad as he had originally thought. This kind of taking us back to the whole judgment idea of his ability. So, as we get closer, the group would finally divine, through information gathering, that they'd have to head to the Land of Waves. Anko would be against this at first because having to cross through the Land of Fire, like closer to their territory and potentially be within range of them, would cause her some distress. But Chojuro and Naruto would push for it, with the three finally giving in.
So, on their mission to the Land of the Waves, they actually begin, doing some research, understanding the situation, and they currently understand the full picture. Because unlike Team 7 in the original, who were uninformed, lied to, and stuff like that, this team, Anko, Chojuro, and Naruto, actually did their research. Anko is a born and bred, basically, investigator at this point. And she's been instilling this stuff into Chojuro and Naruto for years. So they make sure to do their due diligence before making any sort of irrational, impulsive moves, stuff like that. And so looking around, figuring out everything that's going on, they understand the current situation. Gato has hired Zabuza and Haku to kill the bridge builder so the bridge is not built and his reign over the Land of the Waves basically can continue. Now, Naruto has a slightly better opinion of Zabuza, as we've said in this timeline, from scratch, because, the way he looks at the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist is all a bunch of weirdos who are terrible people who would, pilfer, do terrible things to people. And this one is just doing things for money, really. He's not really pilfering or anything like that. He's just kind of living life, doing whatever he's got to do for money. And so he already mentally has some sort of leniency towards him, but he still stays focused on the task. And so eventually everything gets pushed a little bit forward. They actually end up coming to a bridge on a certain day where Zabuza, Haku are fighting Kakashi, Sakura, Sasuke, and Bob Bimbo. And they're actually losing this fight astronomically. Like, Kakashi, he's putting in work, you know? He's hitting Zabuza with the wombo combo, the 1-2-3 punch. 1-2-3 punch? The 1-2. What the fuck am I on about? Anyways. Yeah, that was a jutsu with the 1-2-3 punch. He actually hits Zabuza with 1,000 years of death. Anyways, while the kids are getting packed up by Haku at the moment, Anko, Naruto, and Chojuro are actually watching this situation unfold. Naruto has been, like, really fidgety, you know, really wanting to get in there and help them because he's just like, we can't just let them die! And eventually, you know, in the ice mirror, Sasuke, you know, is about to get hit with a bunch of Senbon, and then Bob Bimbo Inuzuka actually jumps in the way, taking all the Senbon and just dying. And Naruto's like, one's already dead! No, we gotta go help them! Anko, come on, we gotta help them! Anko's just like, there's not gonna be any stopping you, go. And that's when Naruto pulls up, you know, in his straight drip he's got going on, you know, he's got that suit and tie. And he pulls up on them. And he just hits, you know, that Toto pose, you know, after he does something cool where he puts, like, 3 fingers and his thumb on his head and his pinky's bent for some reason. And then he's just like, domain expansion. And everybody's put into his domain. Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke, you know, are put up in the stands. Bob Bimbo Inuzuka is dead on the ground. Haku and Zabuza are both on trial. And so, in this trial, a bunch of, like, you know, images will appear. Basically, all the, evidence of certain crimes that they have committed. And so, they decide to go through this. And he ends up asking at the end, he's just like, do you plead guilty or not guilty? And Zabuza is just like, well, you have the evidence. What kind of dumbass question is this? I'm guilty. And Naruto is just like, I see. And honestly, instead of, actually sentencing them to death, he actually sentences Zabuza specifically to no chakra. Like, his chakra is completely sealed away. And Haku's is sealed away for the time being. So, after the trial is over, Zabuza just completely collapses. But Naruto had opted not to sentence him to death because he genuinely believes in Zabuza there is, you know, some sort of good in him, right?
Yeah.
There's something redeemable.
So kind of like showing us the difference between Naruto and Higuruma. This Naruto, his betrayal that occurred to him wasn't that of like the failed system in the same way. It was like not a belief that what he hears of someone's committed actions is true. It's the fact that a judgment can be falsified. So kind of like how Higuruma, this is kind of spoilers, so I won't get into it, but if you guys know how Yuji and Higuruma's interaction go, then you guys understand where Naruto is coming from here, seeing Zabuza's past through Judge-Man, which I guess is Judge Shinigami here. The abilities of what he had done and how he had spared Haku and kept him alive, that would be something that resonates with Naruto, just like how Anko was a parental figure to him, and how she had been forced to flee her village because of the ongoing destruction there. And he would resonate with that because the reason that Zabuza had left the Bloody Mist village and became a rogue shinobi to begin with was because of Yagura's actions. And so he really wasn't necessarily even a bad person as much as a forced tool in this society. So kind of once again reintegrating Naruto's idea that society needs to be fixed. Society makes them evil. Anyway, yeah, right? The only other thing I would add to is I want Naruto to just kind of show off that he can use his gavel thing because as like a weapon, I think it's kind of cool. So I think he'd smash through one of Haku's ice mirrors with it before he activates his domain expansion. Because so the biggest interaction here after Zabuza's been sealed and Haku has temporarily chakra taken as judgment is that these people know Naruto. So this is going to be interesting. So as far as like what happens next, after the domain ends and Naruto pulls up, the question is, are they masked up? Because they're not necessarily Anbu. So they might be. This could be a way we get out of this. Otherwise, this is our first interaction after like 6 years, right?
So I have an idea for this, right?
Yeah.
And so I do personally believe that Anko would be masked up due to her paranoia, right?
Okay.
She's more realistic about these things and stuff like that. However, Chojuro and Naruto have developed like almost this sense of pride. And the way Naruto is actually thinking about it is just like, if I'm the one passing judgment on you, I at least owe you my face, right? Like, you at least deserve to see my face.
Bro's cooking. That's
I'm
fire.
the one,
nice.
If I'm the one passing said judgment on you, it's only fair, right?
Yeah, cook.
And so he's his own person, right? And he stays true to himself, unlike people. So, like, you might say Danzo and the elders showed their face, but it's in a different like setting almost. Like, they're two-faced bitches. Naruto is a one-faced god, alright? He's great. And so, Naruto is actually completely visible, and Kakashi is the first to realize, alright? Kakashi looks at Naruto, and his eye, you know, because he actually had pulled down his mask at this point, his eye just, like, opens wide. He's just like, Naruto? You're alive? And Naruto's just like, who are you? I don't know you. And that's when he looks over and he sees Bob Bimbo Inuzuka dead on the ground. He's just like, I also didn't know him. Who the fuck was he? Exactly. Naruto recognizes Sasuke and Sakura. He's just like, Sasuke? Sakura? Damn, you had a glow down, Sakura. And then he looks back over at Sasuke. It's just like, you're okay? I wasn't sure if you were okay after the whole fiasco. And Sasuke is like, Naruto, why'd you run away? And Sasuke realizes it's Naruto. And that's when Naruto actually decides, look, this interaction did not happen. Alright? And honestly, Kakashi and Sasuke are like, bet. You know? The reason Kakashi actually opts to not tell about the Naruto and me like finding Naruto is because he's aware if Naruto is actually brought back to the village, he will most likely be executed on the spot. They will immediately take the Nine Tails out of him and seal it in somebody else and kill Naruto because he killed one of the elders, he fled the village, became a rogue shinobi. And so Kakashi, remembering that this is his sensei's son, like his like effectively like brother almost, because his sensei basically raised him, and Kakashi is just like, okay, I won't tell, but I'm gonna need to know more about like the whole situation. And he also asks Naruto, why don't you say Bob Bimbo Inuzuka, bro? Like that now I'm gonna have more paperwork. I don't care that he's dead, I just didn't want the paperwork. Anyways, Sakura doesn't know what the fuck is going on. I'ma be dead ass. She just doesn't understand what's happening other than Bob Bimbo is dead. And so Sasuke actually does decide to confront Naruto, and he asks Naruto why did he do that day, and Naruto is just dead ass with Sasuke. He deadpans this, and he's just like, look, Anko didn't do nothing, and when I heard she was going to be executed, I didn't choose to attack. I want to make that clear. It wasn't my choice.
Hey, loser. You actually expect me to believe that? I know what you did. That woman and my brother were engaging together to take down my clan. Yeah, they worked together to take out my clan. If I ever see her again, I'll kill her and cut her down just like Itachi. Sasuke.
And then Naruto actually looks at him and is just like, are you stupid? And he looks at Sasuke, he's like, why would I lie at this point, bro?
You betrayed the Leaf Village, just like Itachi.
Yeah, but like, we've already betrayed it. What's the point of lying? Like,
you trying to misguide me. I know who killed my clan. All of you. You're all going to be taken down by me as an avenger.
And then Naruto looks over at Kakashi. He's just like, is he always this emo and stupid?
Shut it, loser.
Yeah.
I don't care that you saved me. I would have been fine taking on that ice mirror guy myself. Why have
Are
you
you sure
spared
about that?
him?
Because I mean, Bob Bimbo Inuzuka is dead right there because you didn't take him down by yourself. That's all I'm saying, Sasuke.
Don't mention him. His eyes would flare with the
But-
Sharingan. He was my
but he's
best
dead
friend,
because of you.
Naruto. Don't put his
You have
death on me.
friends?
He was my best friend.
Kakashi actually decides to have a full-blown conversation with the masked person. And Kakashi, he's not stupid. He's a genius, on par with, like, Shikamaru, I
Yeah.
believe it was said. And so he's just like... And so I'd actually say, in this timeline then, Kakashi would probably actually put Sasuke under a Genjutsu, wiping his memory of the interaction, as well as Sakura, and knocking out Sasuke. Because I feel like Kakashi understands that Sasuke is honestly stupid in this timeline. Kakashi knocks out Sasuke, Sakura, and just decides to have a proper conversation with the three. And Kakashi, you know, he's smart, you know, on par with Shikamaru. He's analytical. He's clearly aware that the woman with purple hair and the mask on is Anko. Kakashi's just like, couldn't you at least, like, put on a transformation jutsu or something? Or have you gotten sloppy in the recent years?
Kakashi would gently pick up his student, mourning Bob Bimbo, as he'd agree to leave them for now, telling them that things in the Leaf Village have not gotten better. In fact, things have devolved even more, with tensions rising now as a new force called the Akatsuki has begun to rise. Specifically, the organization that Orochimaru and Itachi are both a part of, or were until recently. They don't know Orochimaru's left the Akatsuki yet, but for now they believe that Itachi is working directly with Orochimaru. With that news now weighing down on Anko's mind, Kakashi and Team 7 would leave. Gingerly, Kakashi would gently carry the body of Bob Bimbo, Chops howling sadly as Sakura would hold her new additional ability in her arms. Now, she's got a corgi, so I guess that makes Sakura better. But yeah, they return to Leaf Village, where the tuning exams is starting to take into full swing. Naruto would talk to Haku and Zabuza after the fact, with both of them wanting to get revenge on Gato. Basically, now that they have no chakra, they can't exactly do it unless they just go pure hands. So I guess you could say that, but I think Naruto would just confiscate the Executioner's Blade when he had done his domain expansion. So unless Zabuza goes down fighting with Kunai, I think they're going to leave the area. Do you think Naruto and his team would even take down Gato, though? Like, they might just leave him. I think Naruto would want to do something after learning of the memories of what Gato had done to Zabuza to enforce him in his service. But, like, I don't know. I think the rest of the team would
You
be
see,
against it.
I find it might be realistic that Naruto, understanding the current situation that has occurred, that he believes genuinely that Zabuza and Haku will actually be the ones to do it.
Alright, you're just gonna leave it to them, huh? Alright.
Yeah, because basically he gives them a choice. He's just like, look, Zabuza, your chakra is gone. It's completely sealed. You will never be able to use it again. And he also tells Haku, yours is temporarily sealed, and the only way for it to become unsealed is for you to come to the Hidden Mist and come to me. So you have two options. You can come, or you have three options.
So basically they would try to recruit Haku. I kind of agree with you. I think this is like how the conversation would go. When I used my ability, I saw everything you went through. Both of you. I have faith that it's not your fault for what occurred. But the Mist Village is different now. Would you come back and speak with the Mizukage? I'm sure she'd be willing to work with you and commit for your crimes. As a former Seven Swordsman of the Mist, you have the skill and the power that we need to regain our power in the world. She needs you. Assuming that Zabuza is interested in that. Basically, he could try to recruit them back to the Mist Village with new leadership. I could see Zabuza rejecting this idea and being like, no, after everything they did, after what had become, why would I go back?
And Naruto actually points something out. No, I think Naruto would point one thing out before he would accept it. He would look at Zabuza and he'd mention, well, I agree with you to a certain point, but Zabuza, what else can you do now? You have no access to your chakra, so you can't walk on water, walk on trees, so a lot of your physical strength is gone.
I can become a farmer.
And Naruto's like, touche.
I have no enemies.
He's Thorfinn now, actually, from Vinland Saga. So Zabuza looks at Naruto, it's just like, but Naruto also mentions to Zabuza that, look, you might be a farmer, sure, but is this not a great opportunity for Haku too? Look, the Mist Village is under new management, all right? This ain't no bloody Mist Village anymore, and there's plenty of farmers, and we need more. You can always be a farmer at the Mist Village, and we get a hot dude that looks like a woman, with ice jutsu that's cool as hell.
All right, I'm sold. Let's go. All right, bet.
All right.
And by the way, we need another younger team member because honestly, with 3 of us, it doesn't fit the real requirements for like the marketing. So Haku can join our team. So me, Chojuro, Haku, and Anko, because you have no chakra, so you can't be our team captain. But I'm not taking that back. So sorry. Well, I think they would go with him. Humorous explanation aside, especially after he talks about like the idealistic dream. He kind of talk no jutsus them about Mei. He's kind of fully like. I think him and Chojuro are just. I don't want to use the word simps, but they're on Team Mizukage. So, ignoring the moral complications of that, we're gonna get back to what happens now. So Mist Village is cleared. Gato's been offed. Zabuza is alive. Yay! Things have happened in a positive way. Haku is now going to become the 3rd team member for this team. And as they report back, Mei would finally announce that she had actually been invited, their village had been invited, to participate in the newest Chunin exams as a joint exercise between the Land of Fire, Sunagakure, the hidden sand village, and the Mist Village. And they have an option to attend or to reject it. Aoi would be firmly against them going, saying that at this point in their juncture, they're still rebuilding, and they just invited back one of the 7 ninja swordsmen. They've retrieved the executioner's blade. They have just been working on accumulating power, and showing that to the world now would be dangerous. But I honestly think it'd be really interesting if we let them do it, because it's within range and we could have a triple village Chunin exams. There will be a secondary reason too. So,
yeah.
As it turns out, Mei actually has a reason for wanting to be in the Chunin exams because one of her personal spies is just barely on the end of being able to capture an elite scroll that would help them with an ability to regain their village and rebuild far quicker than they have been the past few years. My goat, Mizuki, has been working for Mei as a spy in the Leaf Village for years. And he is on a plan for during the Chunin exams to capture the Scroll of Sealing so they can learn the secrets of the Shadow Clone Jutsu to bolster their forces and rebuild the village easier so they can continue expanding their forces. Yeah. So we got a triple plan. We have Konoha, who's trying to extend this like joint idea of uniting the villages, of course, under the pretense of showing their dominance in their clans with like Hyuga and the Uchiha with Sasuke, which was their main draw, was just showing off their military power. Meanwhile, the Sand Village is actually being led by Orochimaru right now, and the Mist Village, who's accepted, is sending a few, like 2 or 3 of their teams, has a submission, which is to cause enough of a focus on the exams that the Hokage's office is less protected, giving Mizuki the chance to steal the Scroll of Sealing, completely uncaught, unprotected, and be able to return with that knowledge to strengthen their own village. Naruto would not know about this. Like, I don't know if she's going to tell them about that part specifically. I think she would say that there's a very special scroll that the Leaf Village has that would give them enough power to assist in building the future they want, and that would sell him on it. He's like, yeah, let's get that shit. Like, I need it.
Before we continue on this route that we're on, I would like to go back over to the Leaf Village real quick and mention that, unfortunately, before these Chunin exams are occurring, there is a massive funeral, and it is for our boy, one, the only, Bob Bimbo Inozuka.
Bob.
And my boy, unfortunately, will be missed by all. Kiba's crying on his grave. His lines of Huz,
Shino.
you know, all crying
How
on his
will I
grave.
become the Hokage now without him at my side?
Exactly. Anyways, going back to the Hidden Mist Village now. Mei has opted to send Naruto, Chojuro, and Haku on this mission. Because she also wants them to, you know, get some more experience with more exotic kind of battles. Like people they would not expect to be as strong or people they wouldn't expect to be as weak, if that makes sense.
I also think she would have information on the Sand Village, specifically with Gaara being the One-Tails Jinchuriki, and this could be a good opportunity for them to learn more about what the Jinchurikis control, like how do they control their tailed beast, because she never had that knowledge passed on from Yagura.